Friday for finish her.
Yeah.
How
Or
long
Monday,
is
Friday. What's that?
how long is it?
The whole video is 35 minutes long. Oh, yeah. Maybe Friday would be a good day.
Um, she uses a lot of really plain words to get across her message.
Yeah.
So it's really great.
Yeah. I'd love to watch it again.
And you can hear her apology throughout.
Mm.
So it's just hard to explain. It's really wonderful.
Mm. Yeah, I need to listen again in order to understand more of what she said.
Mm.
I could hear her say Tlatha toa ushku I Lingit Class kuun.
Yeah, her parents they
Uh,
used, they used to send her out, I guess, so she wouldn't listen. But at that age, she really wanted to know. So I guess she was able to accomplish it because the parents had to go through a lot to in school. That's the way I got it.
mm. For folks who didn't catch, at the beginning of class, we were playing this video called Shaksani Hashlish Kahastui Ratangi. And it's a video of Marge Dudson, who's Ishkitan talking about the importance of Tlingit culture and the need to keep balance when learning about language and culture. So this is something we'll probably revisit on Friday. And Shaksani Keek was just sharing insights she took away from the video, from the short section we watched. Okay. And to start class today, Tisachtua Sigu Inka Khunige, Ik Eich Sitini, Stakatuhan, Tlay nach Dach nach Naskinach, Kajini nach away Yuhan, Gunalchish Hati Adi. De Yagi, Yagi, At Gadechit Yanadisi, Jinkat Katledu Shuyawachi Yadis. I just want to share with you folks, it's good to see you. There's 5 of you here today. Shaksani Keek and I have been talking about what day to end our class. Last week our numbers got pretty low, around 2 students, so we're talking about ending this Friday. Shaksani Keek does have a lot more she wants to share next week if folks are able to come, but we'll just see how our numbers go this week and decide whether we're gonna end this Friday or next Friday. But it's Tuesday, May 16th, and this is the 19th week of our class. So, to start class off, we'll have a recap discussion. Last Friday, Shaksani Keek shared a story, and then we had to end the class, but we wanted to continue the good discussion we started around what do we learn from stories, what stories have we heard, traditional stories, things we grew up with.
Yeah,
And
I wanted to say that the men were the really trained storytellers. They had special training just for doing that. And I felt like I didn't have much time. And also, I'm not that good of a storyteller, but I wanted to share that so that we could, you know in our children or our grandchildren that the importance of these stories and how they helped to help us think and decide, making decisions. And so, and it's also uh, the history of our people. So, it's an all around kind of thing. So it's really important.
Yeah, yeah,
Anybody wants to add to the story, uh, you're quite welcome. And don't worry about hurting my feelings or anything because uh, I really shortened the story, but I think it's really good for us when we start sharing. It's really great for this class.
yeah, So, does anyone want to bring up so the story that Shakhsani Keek shared with us last Friday, um, some of the things I took away from it were don't brag, don't claim success for work that's not yours, and be kind to people. So, just a recap of her story, it was about a young man who was walking down to a lake. He was in the woods and he found a sea monster. I'm doing the best recalling it from memory that I can, but the sea monster helped him gather food to give to his mother in law, who repeatedly lacked respect in the way she talked about him and to him. And so essentially, he was bringing all this food and delivering it to the mother in law without taking credit. He kind of gave it to her anonymously by leaving it on the beach in front of her place. And each morning, she thought that she was receiving those gifts due to her own prayers and her own requests for them. And anyway, when Shakhsani Keek gets back with her coffee, we'll ask her more questions about it. But when we had to end class, we were just talking about some of the things we took away from that story. So, um, who else was here on Friday? Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Hello, I was here Friday. Was it Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed class. I know we also went over counting people,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, the story, um, particularly the part about uh, mother-in-law talking about her son-in-law, and of course, since I'm a guy, I was trying to look at it from a guy's perspective, but also the cool thing about stories is it's from an open perspective, and you know.
Hey, we can't hear you, Kade Kaidohak. You just cut out. His I think maybe his
In the
connect.
story, he's trying to make things
Yeah.
right. I guess
Yeah, there's a connectivity issue, but I did catch that you were hearing the story from the man's perspective and that you heard this the son-in-law was trying to make things right.
yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, and I enjoyed the story. It was a good story.
Yeah, well, gonna change.
Thank you.
Does anyone else here on Friday wanted to add anything about what the story we heard on Friday? Or anything continuing the discussion on stories, what we learned from them, any that you wanted to share from your upbringing or um, in your background.
Or any questions?
We don't hear a lot of stories. Sometimes where I'm from, we got a lot of totem poles. So I was born in Ketchikan, but I was raised in Saxman, and there's one in particular called the Oyster Boy that we heard often when we were younger.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, yeah. My uncle told it to me more than once when I was younger in my more colorful days, probably for a reason of my choices I was making. But he kept talking to me, and I know my uncle loves me. It's one of those things that you kind of learn on the side when uncle stops what he's doing to talk to you and share, and he says, "I'm telling you this for a reason." Then you kind of learn to remember those kind of things. So the stories are very, very nice to hear.
Yeah, we were talking one day about if you're being told a story twice and you're wondering, how come they keep telling me this story? There might be a reason for it.
You're not getting this very good, so I'll have to tell you the story again.
Yeah. My auntie and one of my aunties in Caltech tells me the same story every time I see her. But I noticed that every time she tells it, she reveals a little bit more in the story. And it's kind of a private personal story. I wouldn't recount it on her behalf, but I do notice that I think as our relationship gets deeper, she tells me more about her story. We have Kedanzadni in my grandmother's first language, which is Danaka. There's a period of time called the time of long ago, and when animals could talk, and it's called Kedanzadni. And there's a storyteller from Huslia named Catherine Atla who was a master storyteller, and she compiled a lot of traditional stories in a book, which is really nice. Okay. Anything else anyone wanted to add? Okay, since we're winding down, we're going to incorporate more review. And one of the things we haven't revisited in a while is the X sounds. And in Tlingit, there are quite a few different ways you'll see the letter X written, and it's pronounced a different way in each style. So on the board here, I have 8 variations of the letter X, just giving you the names of how we refer to them. Number 1 is a regular X. So it's an X without any underlines or apostrophes or W's. It's a regular X.
Remember, we don't have an X that sounds like an English X.
Yeah, you'll never pronounce it like the KS sound that you hear in English. The second one has an apostrophe after it. That's a pinched X. So it's really similar to the way you pronounce a regular X, which is when you add the apostrophe, you snap your teeth on it, but you pinch it. So it goes from to, and that's your pinched X. And we'll look in the following slides at example words that have these letters in them. Number 3 is an underlined X, just as you see it. It's an X with an underline that you pronounce in the back of your throat. Number 4 is a rounded X. It's an XW, and this can come at the end of a word. It can come at the beginning. Can come before vowels. But regardless, what you do when you pronounce the XW is you round your lips like you're making a W sound, and you just breathe out the X. So it will sound like the wind. And it's important to do that, especially when rounded letters like this come at the end of a word. elders can hear the difference if you round your lips or don't, and it gives different meaning to what you're saying. So in XW, always round your lips as you breathe out the X sound. Number 5 has two, so this has 2 markings on it, and this is where you start to get a lot of variety in the X sounds in Tlingit. So it's underlined and pinched. So it has an underline underneath it and an apostrophe. So it'll be the underline X, but now you're pinching it. And so has a pinched underline X at the beginning. Number 6 is a rounded pinched X. And I don't know if I have an example word for you. We'll look on this one, but it's X and then you pinch it and then there's a W at the end, so you're also rounding your lips. So it sounds like 2 more. Number 7, underlined rounded X. So it's underlined and then you round your lips. So that's your number 7. Number 8 is all 3. Underlined, pinched, and it has a W, so it's rounded. So that one sounds like. No, I don't even know a word. All our example words are ones we've learned in class, but we can update them if we think of them as we go. Which one? Oh, quat. Okay. I'll take a note of it. Quat. Okay, I'm gonna add it while we're thinking of it. Underline, pinched, rounded, quad. So an example word. Quad. Oops.
What?
Oh.
Feathers.
Feathers. Oops. Feathers. Quad.
That doesn't come up in everyday conversation.
Yeah. Quad. Oh, there's one for giraffe. Quad. Long neck. I'll just include it since we like to add new words we learned. So I'm going to put it in here. Quad. Giraffe. And feathers. Down, feathers. Oh, quad. Okay. Pinched L at the end. Okay, quad. So starting at the top from our most basic, example words we have for the regular X, we have gudesaya nishich. Where are you taking off to? And I highlighted it in blue so that it would be easy to see. And the second one is the answer, Fred Meyer's Deyan Chashich. So both of these end with a nice, smooth, regular X at the end. So go ahead and unmute your mics and repeat these lines after me. And make it big. Okay. First one, repeat after me. Gudesaya nishich. And the response, Fred Meyer's Deyan Chashich.
Fred Meyer's Deyan Chashich.
Okay. Next one is the pinched X, and I highlighted them in blue. First one, it comes at the end of skun. And when you see a pinched X at the end of a place name like this, it's telling you specifically at. You're at school. So repeat this word after me. Skun. And the second example we had is for what time was it? Repeat after me. Kungao saya.
Kungao saya.
Uh, okay. The underline X, we have the first word, repeat after me. Cha. Yeah, and then the second one, tatge hat kuchwatin.
Tatge Hwatin.
Yeah. This one's technically an underline rounded X you after, but I just included it in this example to practice that sound, that gravelly sound. Third example, khatyake. And then a line we saw earlier, but now we're focusing on the underline X. Fred Meyer's Dayan Khashich.
Fred Meyer's Dayan Khashich.
Okay. Okay, the rounded X, it's written XW. Repeat after me. Ka hui yis.
Ka hui yis.
And the underline rounded X. So it's underline X with a W after. This is the same one we saw earlier. Tatge hat kuchwatin.
Tatge hat Hwatin.
Okay, underline, pinched, rounded. So it's underline X, apostrophe W. And this is the one we just added 2 words to. So the first one for feathers, repeat after me. Quat. And that's for feathers. The second word means giraffe, about its long neck. Lidiquat.
Lidiquat.
Shachsanikik, do you have any feedback for us?
No, that sounds good, but I think it kind of brings out the fact that we just love the X, don't we?
Yeah,
It's scattered. We show you example of one, and it actually includes 2 X's, 2 different kinds of X's.
Yeah. Yeah, it appears a lot.
Yeah. And it really will help you if somebody comes up to you and says, how do you say this? You know, and you need to search your brain and think about the examples she's been giving you to help you read whatever it is somebody wants you to read. You'll be able to.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the writing system helps once we keep practicing each sound. It is straightforward. Like the apostrophe tells you, okay, pinch it, snap your teeth on it. The W tells you to round your lips. And the underline tells you to pronounce it in the back of your throat.
Keep in mind that every letter that she gave you, that's a separate letter, because there's 8 of them. It's included in the alphabet, as each one is different.
Yeah, yeah, in fact, I'm gonna delete one of the examples. The tatgehat kuchwatin, that's included under the rounded underline X. Okay. Are there any questions from students on the X sounds? Would you like to repeat any of them? If not, we'll continue on to our craft activity, at least the first section of it. So last week we talked about doing a craft before the end of our class, and we're gonna do some of the language portion of it today. And if you weren't here last week, what we tasked you with, I still have to do it, so don't worry if you haven't yet. But if you have time to go by a secondhand store and or Michael's, see if you can pick up a small picture frame. It doesn't have to be large, just something cute that you'll hang up in your place or gift to somebody. And then you'll also need a blank card and something to paint or write with. Markers, colored pencils, paints, paint pens. And what we'd like to do is help you choose a word or phrase in Lingit that you can turn into something that's going to be a piece of art that you hang up in your home. So Gunath Chish or Gunath Chish Hati Gudi, or something that you'll like seeing in your home that you can bring more representation of Lingit. So even if you don't have a frame until after you're completely done, see if you can pick up before Thursday a blank card and something to write with.
You can pick a phrase today.
Pick up what?
Phrase. What
Pick
they
up,
want to write.
yeah, for today we'll pick a phrase and we'll help you workshop it for spelling and grammar.
Yeah. All we want to do is we don't want to dictate what you're going to write, but we want to make sure your spelling, tone marks, and everything is okay.
So what kind of phrases would people see themselves hanging up in their homes? It could be Lingit.
I've been using,
uh,
sorry,
Gook.
I was just gonna say, I've been using Ich Sachan with my kids a lot to help teach them as well.
Okay. That's always a good one to have. So let's do the Lingit verbs. And I'll pull up the spelling just to make sure I have it written. I'm sure you have it written already. Chen. Chen. So chen is the verb root for love. For someone to love somebody is going to be, for me to love you is ich sichen. For folks who are starting to learn the grammar, it's kind of fun to look at the theme in the verb database. You have a capital O, that's the person you love, and a capital S, that's the person who is loving. And then this lowercase s is just a sound you're making, sichen. So when we look at ich sichen, I is you, and then this ch is I. I love you. Ich sichen. So checking the spelling is ich sichen, ich sichen. I don't see it in this. Love. So Shakhsanikik, I wrote it I underline X, S I underline X, high tone A N. Ich sichen.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
We're able to get a frame.
I have some already that have just been sitting around not being used.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I actually have a small frame that I put a gift, like a card in, that someone gave me. I could just take the card out and put my new one in. And are there any other phrases people would like help with? Would you like me to look any up for you?
Could be a phrase that you want to give to somebody. I remember one time I had a student say, "Oh, I want to do this for my grandma." So,
I have one that's kind of religious that I wouldn't mind hanging up in my house. It's In God We Trust.
Okay. In God we trust. Is there a Lingit version of that you comes to mind, Chaksanikik?
I know.
Like, I would start doing, if it was me, I would start thinking of the words. So, Dekian Kawu. I would start looking up each part on Kawu. And I'm going to check my spelling. So I'll do it in the dictionary here. And that looks right. Dekian Kawu. One fun thing about looking up a word like this in the dictionary is that, for example, what we're looking at right now is an example sentence that has the kian kawu. So even though this will happen a lot, even though we're starting with an English phrase that we want to say, if we use the word for God as a starting point, the kian kawu, and look this up in the dictionary, we end up finding a plethora of example sentences that were provided by elders and fluent speakers who know the language. So even if we don't end up finding In God We Trust, we might find something really similar that has the same sentiment that is congruent with the language. So let's take a look at what we find. There's a sentence here that says God's word is more permanent than anything else. And in Lingit, it's Dekian Kawu yu Katangi, Dekat Adyanach Yan Uwani at Chsiti. And so I'm going to include this as an alternative. And as a learner who grew up speaking English, I always do this when I'm trying to translate. I'll start with a sentiment in English, and then I'll end up with a list of things that are pre-existing in Lingit, and I'll sort of work my way toward my meaning. So I'm gonna do this, and I'll come up with a list. So, more permanent than anything else. And what else do we come up with? Let's do...
So the word for God is Ankawa.
The whole word, so God in English is just one word. In Tlingit, the idea of one God above us is described in two words, Dikian Kawu.
Okay.
You might look up the word trust.
Trust. Okay. So let's look up trust. Okay, trust. Okay, I see a verb. So I see an example. Ikayan tukhwatan. I have faith in you. And here's one from scripture. Ja'akayan tutan yayukatank. Rely on his word. Scripture. So even though this is just the beginning of my search, I'm going to include these in my list of ideas. And hopefully we get closer to the sentiment you're looking for. So we got rely on his word. I'm going to put this in our list. Okay. And what else do we get?
What was the word for trust?
The word for trust ends in ton or ton. And so in this example that we looked under, yun to ton is telling somebody trust in them. And so another example we could see, ika yun tu hua tan, I have faith in you or I trust you.
That's a good one.
Yeah, let me add it.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Okay, let's add this. I have faith in you. And let's see what else we come up with. Just scrolling through the dictionary. Faith as a noun, as a concept, is ahin, ahin, faith, belief, trust, or religion. What else do we get?
That's a good shorter phrase. That's the same meaning.
Yeah.
But you have to personalize it.
Yeah. Okay, let's add this one too because it would be if you're hanging up a slogan in your house, sometimes it's nice to have it kind of short. That just looks nice, yeah. So I'll add these translations. You don't have to put a translation in your card. I'm just putting them in our list so that we remember what it means.
Yeah, we should be there to translate it.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I see in the chat there's one. I like this. Tsuhagukwan, do come again. That's fun. I'm gonna add it to our list of ideas of what people want to do. Tsuhagukwan, do come again. That'd be fun to hang up in your house. Okay, what else? Any other phrases or ideas folks want to try to personalize? Doyan Foundation bought me this camera. I might try to set it up for Thursday, but it's like for artists when they're teaching an art class, if you want to write on your desk. They bought me that for language teaching. I might see if I can set it up for our painting session. Not that I'm an expert painter or that you need to watch me paint, but it just reminds me of like kind of a fun Bob Ross sort of vibe. Okay. Any other phrases? I started looking up one for Shakhsani Keek mentioned like one example you might have is if you want to gift something to your grandparent, and that immediately made me think of this phrase for I cherish you. Let me see if I can find it. It's like ik autoshitzin or something. Ik au or how does that go? Bless you.
All right.
You're okay. I'm gonna look up scene. It's pollen season, isn't it? Oh yeah. To value, so in Tlingit, to value highly or cherish is I value her. So I would, if I want to put I value you, again, you see this capital O in the theme, and that's where you put the person you value. If I value you, I say ich achlitzin. I add an I for you. Okay. Copying. Okay, I need to fix this font and add the person I value, which is you. I cherish you. What else do we say to grandparents? Thank you. Okay. Can also look through the resource Lingit Class and find a topic that's fun to hang in your house. Like, I'm trying to think of ones that are in English, and they're always like, this chick's had it, or like, it'll be like a chicken in an apron with a spatula, like saying it's done cooking. I'm trying to think of something funny in Tlingit. Neilka might be a fun one if you're hanging it outside. Come in.
Pin it on the door.
Yeah. Neilka. Come in. That would be a good one to hang on your door. Some of my friends hang up a piece of echt, like dried Devil's Club branch, and they hang that above their door too. You could get creative and combine it. What else?
Atcha.
Atcha.
Eat something.
Atcha. Eat something. That's a good one. That's a good one for the dining room.
Or the kitchen. But,
Yeah.
but don't do that one if you have trouble with your weight.
Yeah.
It's suggestive.
It's suggesting. It makes me feel welcome. Atcha. What else? Maybe something for kids. If you want to hang it in their room to like encouragement. I'm trying to think of what would be good. Anybody else has ideas?
I think Father's Day is coming up pretty soon. Maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me think of what I would say to my dad. I love you, my father.
The other way.
Huh?
Sechan. The other way.
Oh, ach ish ich sechan. Oh, gunatish. Okay, this goes the other way. So I'll put ach ish at the front. At the front. Ach ish ich sechan. My father, I love you.
Say that to your grandparents. You could say to your children.
Aww. So,
I love that applies to everybody.
yeah, wa'ah. Ich sechan. You, I love you. And then you could, like she mentioned, you could do it like your daughter. Ugh, see. Let me check daughter. C, high tone E. Ugh, C. Ich sichen. My daughter, I love you. What else do we say to our dads? I feel like there's maybe, I don't know why my mind is like, talk about fishing. Let me see if there's something that would be fun. Fishing. A steak na go fish. We just did the words for the game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A steak na go fish. Okay, let's do it. A steak na go fish. Go fishing. A steak. A steak na go. What else? Hunting, fishing, tides, and water. Let's see what we find in these sections. What's I like caribou meat. Did you go hunting? We have to be careful about the way we talk about hunting because we don't want to jinx hunters. Okay, what else do we got? Nothing's jumping out at me. Okay, well, if you guys come up with more ideas and you want help, you can email me and we can help you before class. But we'll probably plan to paint. Should we plan to paint on Thursday?
Oh.
Okay, so for Thursday, we'll plan on painting.
Yeah. Be sure and look through the Lingit Class book for ideas. And then email us so we could, if you want to shorten some kind of phrase.
Yeah, well, email us if you want help shortening. Okay, and I'll put the link in case you don't have it for Lingit Class. I'll put it in the chat, and then I'll also put my email in the chat. So there's Lingit Class, and this is my email. Are there any closing comments or questions before we close for the day? Anything about the activity or other content we've covered in class that you'd like to review before we end our term?
Everybody must be as tired as we are.
Yeah. How are your guys' energy levels? How are your work and children and school? How are your lives?
We're
Busy
still
since
really
the
busy
school
with
year is
fire.
almost.
Oh yeah. I heard Chuckine say she was busy with school, and Kodiak Claw shared with us that she lives in Canada. Was it Alberta? But they're experiencing forest fires, and so she's tuning into class while keeping her ear on the radio, whether they need to evacuate. At one point they did. So I hope that's going well. I've been thinking about you guys. I hope you get rain.
Goodness, sheesh. Yeah, we're still really busy here. Hopefully rain.
Yeah.
Lots of rain.
Yeah, lots of rain.
So sometimes we'll get a sprinkle during the fire. It doesn't help much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my phrase should be let it rain.
Let it rain. Let it rain.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I've been looking through stories since we talked about stories the last couple classes, and I've been just trying to find a good phrase to pull out of one of the stories for a couple reasons. I might use it down the line, and it also helps me remember a particular part of a story.
Oh, cool. Stories are a great way to remember terms in the language and Tlingit. I just found a word, eight, for a rain squall. So that's kind of the idea we're going for with rain. Rain squall. Yeah, I think pulling a phrase from a story would be a really cool way to incorporate Tlingit in your house if you paint it on a card and frame it. In Tlingit, there's different types of rain. Kasich Ja is a drizzle, like a drizzly, misty rain.
Yeah. I always heard it in regards to just a fine mist.
A fine mist. Kasich Ja.
It's the same word that's used for being hot and sweaty.
Oh, really? Okay, so Kasich Ja, I should think about like mist. Siu is rain. And we'll continue. This doesn't have to be the last day that we workshop ideas, but hopefully today you got ideas of phrases you like that are meaningful to you, that you'd either like to put in your home or gift to somebody. And on Thursday we'll get our hands dirty. We'll get paints and markers everywhere. It'll be fun. Hopefully you have rain over there, Kotsiakta, and we'll see everybody back here on Thursday, same time, same place. Gwnilchish, Yiye Janei, Tsuye Kwasatin.